visionary, an entrepreneur, a business owner. You want to make money from your passion and create the freedom that you've dreamed of. But it's slow. The income is slow, the impact is slow, and the freedom is slow. And here's the kicker. You've actually never been busier. You're working longer than ever, burning through daylight, and your family have forgotten who you are. You're tired and frustrated and you can't even sleep well at night. The business just feels so heavy, and all you ever wanted to do was just make the money you want to make doing the things that you want to do. And that's where I come in. Hi, if we haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I'm the host of the Business Acceleration Podcast, where we shift your business from heavy to light, time poor to time abundant, and from income lack to income growth. We're going to achieve it together with my 20 years experience as a psychologist, helping people just like you to break through their barriers. And we're going to throw in a little of the woo as well. So thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another episode. I am so pleased that you're here because today was a little bit of a trip down memory lane for me. The intention of my podcast was to help people like yourself figure out whether or not running a podcast would be something that you would like to do or could be useful for you. And it got me reminiscing, I think, about when I was first introduced to podcasts myself. It was 2015, and at the time I was loving hiking. I had joined a hiking group, and I was struggling to climb up hills, and I used to sometimes end up in tears because some of these hills were just horrible, and I was exhausted trying to get up them. And there were times when people had to help me get from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, and this was in regions in Melbourne, Australia, like the Dandenongs. And so some of these hills are notoriously steep. I mean, there were times when I did manage to get up some of these hills and I would vomit because it was so strenuous. It was such a hard task. And then one day I had joined another hiking group. So I was in about 4 or 5 different hiking groups because they all have different activities and events happening each weekend. And I had joined a hiking group there and gone for the very first time, and we were hiking in the Dandenongs, and it was really fun because I got to meet lots of new people. I was trying to push myself to get outside of my comfort zone because although I'm all over social media and things like that, I'm very, very shy and I don't like to be in groups of people. So it's been a long time that I've been trying to work through this, but hiking suited me because it allows you to be alone but around other people, and it allows you to sort of fall in line with others, have some conversations, then drop back or move forward and be on your own again. So I had found my perfect fit. But anyway, this was a new group, a new hike. It was a Sunday. I'm hiking along and we come up to this big hill and I'm thinking to myself, I can't do it. And then there was this guy there that I had met. His name was John. And his name was Brad. And Brad was very, very kind. And I said to him, I don't think I can make it up that hill, Brad. And he said, well, it's okay, B, I'll help you, And he went off into the scrub and he came back with a big long stick. And he showed me, if you use this stick, you can weight bear upon it and it will also help your back remain straight, because at the moment you're almost on your hands and knees trying to get up this really steep hill, and that's not helping, it's actually making it harder. But if you are able to hold your body more upright, it will make it easier and you'll be able to get up to the top. Just give it a go. And so I did. And could you believe, I made it to the top unaided. I was not the last one to the top. I didn't feel sick when I got there. I was elated and I was jumping up and down and I was so excited. And then I wanted to try it out again and try more hills and more hills and more hills. And so it was a hilly hike that day, which was great for me because I got to try this new technique. And what ended up happening was Brad had created a bit of a monster then, because I felt incredibly confident. And the next day I went to work and there was an email in my inbox and it said, "Would you like to come and hike Mount Everest?" And I thought, yes, I would. So I signed up. And a couple of months later, guess what? I was hiking to base camp in Mount Everest. So base camp is not at the bottom of the mountain either. Base camp is like really high. It's almost at the top. It's not that far when you look at the whole mountain. It's just called base camp because that's where everybody was storing all of their equipment and their stuff before they continued up to the actual peak. But it's still, base camp is very, very high. Anyway, it took about 12 days to trek up to base camp and then 2 days to come back down. But as you can imagine, when you take your mobile phone to a place like the Himalayas, you want to be very careful about how you're using your data and all of this sort of stuff. And this is the other thing. While it all looks really glamorous, and I'm pleased that I did it, hiking Everest was an interesting experience because there are stretches along there where it's actually very boring because all you see is white and all you see is mountains and all you see is snow. And it's great for a little while, but there are certainly days where the monotony can play havoc with your mind. And so it does require, I guess, the ability to control your mind and not let it get away from you. There were people who would be trekking and, they would have like mini breakdowns along the way and would need consoling and comforting. And it was just because the monkey chatter in your mind just goes nuts. But anyway, there are they're called tea houses. They're stops along the way when you're hiking up Everest. And they're not fancy or anything like that. In fact, the higher you climb, the not so great these tea houses become. In fact, I think they're predominantly made of perhaps plywood. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not brick and mortar or anything like that. It's just like plywood. And there's no grass, there's no vegetation. Their source of fuel is poop from the yaks, and they try and dry that out as best as they can. Then when that gets nice and dry, they take it inside and they either use it to heat the shack or they will use it to create fuel for cooking and things like that. So anyway, but every now and again, when you're at some of these tea houses, for some reason, you just randomly will get Wi-Fi. I was so surprised. I mean, even when I'm living in Melbourne, Australia, there is still parts of my suburb, parts of my town where I live that are called dead spots where I can't get any reception. When I drive to work, I go through a dead spot where my radio will cut out for, nearly a minute because there's no reception. But hello, I've got Wi-Fi on the Everest mountain. So anyway, I was not really on Facebook at that time. As I said, I was a latecomer to Facebook, but my girlfriend who I went on the hike with, Karen, she was all over Facebook and she was on it all the time, and she was using it to stay connected with her friends and her family, and she was trying to FaceTime them and video chat them and stuff like that. Always it was dropping out. And I was just kind of sitting there, not really knowing what to do with myself. I mean, I was too frozen, too wet, too grumpy. There were days when it was just hard, and you don't want to be around people. You just want to be left alone, and you would want to be dry, and you want to have a hot shower and things like that. So I was in one of those kinds of funks, I guess, and I just wanted to come home. I was over it. I didn't, we're at a stage where it was taking like a day to walk a kilometre and that was a good 8 days of walking because there's no oxygen in the air, so everything feels really heavy and you get migraines and things bleed that shouldn't bleed, and your feet are horrible and your sleeping is horrible, everything's horrible. And anyway, so I'm sitting there feeling really sorry for myself, and one of the Sherpa came over to me and was just trying to be friendly, just trying to engage me in conversation. And he was a really lovely guy. His name was Deepak. And if you're interested in hiking Everest, you should absolutely get in touch with him. I think the company was called Ace the Himalaya or something like that, Ace the Himalaya. But anyway, so he tells me about podcasts. And we're sitting there and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And then he tells me about podcasts, and then he kind of left it with me because he then had to go and look at the map for our hike the next day with some of the other Sherpa. And then somebody else came over to me who was also hiking, and he started telling me more about podcasts. I said, hey, Deepak was just telling me about podcasts. What's this? And then this other guy was saying, oh, yeah, well, podcast, it's something that you can listen to. It's like the radio. But it's not. He said it's a collection of series or episodes where people just talk. They might interview others. They might just talk freely, give some information about a particular topic. And he told me that he was listening to one by National Geographic. So we downloaded the app, and I created an account through iTunes. It's now called Apple Podcasts, but back then it was iTunes. And I was able to listen to a podcast. It was National Geographic, I think. And it was so interesting. And I was able to just sit there, put my headphones in, and bliss out. I could close my eyes. I did not have to look at my surroundings. I didn't have to look at anybody else. I could just go off to this whole other place, and I could receive all of this information and listen and create images in my mind and things like that. And so then I got really excited, and I was like, holy cow, this is great. So then I would keep looking for Wi-Fi because I wanted to find podcasts that I was really interested in listening to. And so I started listening to podcasts about music. I started listening to podcasts about spirituality. I started listening to manifesting podcasts. And it got to the point where I was kind of obsessing about it because they were just giving me this peace of mind, and I could listen to the whole podcast and then it would autoplay the next one. And so I had this constant stream of entertainment. And I remember there was this one time we were on Everest, and I didn't have any Wi-Fi, but I had saved songs to my music on my phone, and we were crossing a little bridge where we were trying to get from one peak to the next peak, and it was a really scary little bridge, and I just thought, no, I'm going to dance across this bridge. And so I turned on the music really, really loudly, and I was with my headphones on, and I was just dancing across this bridge, and then it felt so good that I just kept dancing. And then some other people saw what I was doing, and then they started doing it as well. They put in their headphones and started dancing. And then guess what happened? The music finished, and just randomly a podcast came on. It turned out that I'd been saving some of these podcasts to my phone, which meant that I didn't even need Wi-Fi to listen to them. So I was so happy about it. And it never occurred to me at that time, though, that I could be somebody that runs a podcast. And I think if anybody had suggested it, I would have said, oh no, that's something other people do, not me. But it was last year or the year before, I went on a holiday to Thailand, and I was there laying in bed one night, and I was manifesting, and I asked for inspiration about how I could get my message out to other people. And then I was having a shower and I got this idea, oh, you should try podcast. So I just acted on it. I acted on that inspiration. I took aligned action, and I set up a podcast. I had no idea what I was doing. I stuffed it up royally. It took me a few goes to get it off the ground, but I did it. And then I was kind of having a bit of fun with it for a little while, but I guess because I hadn't done a course, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't really know what I was meant to be saying and all of that sort of stuff, it kind of like fell by the wayside, and I started focusing more on Facebook Lives. But what happened recently, when I say recently, I mean maybe since about August, September, is I had this massive up level in the business. And as a result of that, part of my 90-day plan was to revive the podcast, get it going again, and do it in a way that I was consciously creating content that I felt might help other people. I wanted to be of use. I didn't just want to be, chitter-chatter on the airwaves. So I wanted people to want to listen to my podcast because they knew that they were going to get something from it that they could use in their business to get a breakthrough or to up-level themselves. And so that's what I've done. And so now we've got this whole new cover and changed the name of it and changed the music, and we did all of this. And it has been going great. And I'm getting all of this engagement that I wasn't getting before. Every day it's like, emails from listeners asking questions, wanting answers, happy for me to discuss things in upcoming episodes, or not happy for me to discuss things in upcoming episodes, as the case may be. So it has just opened the door to being able to build a whole lot of relationships with people. And here's the other thing, not everyone's on Facebook, you see. And so while my emphasis has been on Facebook for the last, 12 or 18 months, and I've almost been doing a video a day, what I do now is I've cut that back. I still do videos, but they're not every day. And now I do 2 podcasts a week. And usually they come out on a Wednesday and a Saturday. So they're the 2 days that I aim for. And, all the planets in alignment and stuff, that's usually what happens. So Wednesdays and Saturdays, I want to get it out twice because that's what my audience requested from me in a poll that I did. So I know that's what they want, so I can give them that. And it's working out fantastically. So if you have been thinking of running a podcast, but you're not quite sure whether or not it's something for you, something that you can do that will help you get clarity around that is check in with yourself about a couple of questions. First of all, question number 1, look at why you got into your business in the first place. Okay, what was the purpose of your business? Not what is it now, but what did you have in mind when you were thinking of your business name, when you got the keys to the doors that day, when the sign went up, when you were sitting down organising finance to start the business perhaps, or, before the business was actually born and it was your idea, before the actual physical birth of the business. What was your idea? What did you really, 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 really want to do? Because that is going to be how you anchor back into your purpose. Because once you've been in business for a little while, it's very easy to get caught up in the day-to-day runnings of the business, okay? And so it's helpful sometimes to do this work and stop for a moment and think, okay, yeah, what was going through my mind before I opened the doors or before I gave birth to this beautiful little business? What was my dream back then? So anchor back into that number 1, because that's going to give you some direction. And then number 2, I want you to ask yourself, how would things be different for me in my business if more people heard what I had to say? How would things be different for me in my business if more people heard what I had to say? And so this leverages off that first question, as you can see. So, you have a very important message. I believe that your business is unique like you are, and I believe that, I've said it before, but I'll say it again, that just like we've got fingerprints that are unique and individual, I think we've got a soul and a message that's unique and individual as well. I can't deliver your message, okay? Nobody else can deliver your message. Only you can do that because that's authentic to you. That message comes from deep within you, from your soul, from your purpose, okay? So if more people were able to tune in and receive that message, what would that mean for those people? Okay, if I hear your message, what's that going to mean for me? Will I feel better about myself? Will I feel like there's hope? Will I feel like there's somewhere I can go for guidance? Will I feel like somebody understands me? Will I feel like I'm not alone or I'm less alone? How do you want me to feel as a listener? And what would it mean for your business if more people wanted to show up and listen to your message more often? What would that mean if you started to have people consistently showing up? Imagine going and giving a talk, okay, and on the first day you give the talk, maybe 1 or 2 people turn up. and they hear your message and it resonates with them, what are they going to do? They're probably going to go and share with their friends how valuable it was for them to go and attend your talk. And then they're going to tell their friends, the next one happens on Monday. And so they're going to bring their friends. And then those people are going to get to hear your message. Okay, and the first lot is still turning up as well. And then those friends go and tell someone. And this then makes more people come the following Monday and the following Monday and the following Monday. And all the time, the first people are still there. Okay, this is how you build your audience. It's through relationship building. And when people come to hear your message, they develop trust, and that trust comes from you providing things that they can actually use, that they get benefit from, that help them out. And they develop trust because they know every Monday you're going to be at that meeting. Or for me, they know twice a week they're going to get something useful for their business that they're not having to pay for from me. So they will subscribe, or they will tune in, or they will download, or whatever it is. And when they get that really useful piece of information, they're going to go and share that. And this is audience building. And the reason that it's good to build your audience is because you want more people to hear your message, because you genuinely care. You genuinely want to help people. Okay? So the 2 questions to see whether or not a podcast is in alignment with where you are with your business at the moment. Again, question number 1 is to look at why you got into your business in the first place. What was the purpose then? Okay, let's anchor back into that. And the second question would, how would things be different in your business if more people heard what you had to say? All right? Would it perhaps lead to more sales? Would it lead to more impact? Would it lead to more awareness? You know, what is it that you're looking to achieve? And then use those answers to make a decision. Is this something you want to do now, or is it something that's not aligned with the business for you? And that's okay. The purpose of this episode was to help you gain clarity around what might be useful for you. And if you decide that you would like to learn how to do a podcast and you've got no idea how to do it or how to go about it, don't worry, I've got you covered. Check out the link in the show notes. There's a course. It's only starting in November, mid-November. And for founding members, it's $97 instead of $197. If you bring a friend, then you each get a bonus one-on-one podcast coaching session with me. And there's a whole lot of other sorts of goodies in there as well. So that's in the show notes. Do have a look and see if it's something that you're interested in doing, and get in touch with me if you have any questions at all. I would love, 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 love to help you get your message out to more people. Thank you so much for listening today, guys. I really appreciate your company, and I hope that you found these questions helpful in gaining clarity around whether or not a podcast is going to be a good step for you. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope that you enjoyed it and got a lot of value from it. Help me help others by sharing this podcast. And if you feel called to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, remember to let me know so that I can send you a very special thank you gift. Now go and build your dream business, and I will see you next time. Bye.